The mop made a soft sound against the floor, back and forth, back and forth. The same movement Tiho had done 1,000 times before, maybe 1,000,000 times. He did not count anymore. The Nexar Galactic Military Academy was a beautiful place. Tall buildings made of white stone and blue glass reached toward the sky. Ships flew overhead, carrying important people to important places. Students walked through the halls in their perfect uniforms, talking about battles they had never fought and wars they had only read about. None of them looked at Tiho. He was invisible, not in a magical way. In the way that cleaning staff are always invisible, people looked through him like he was made of air. They stepped around his mop bucket without seeing it. They continued their conversations as if he was not there. Tiho preferred it this way. He was a small man, not young anymore. His hair was more gray than black now. His face had lines from years of living, and his hands were rough from years of work. He wore the same gray uniform every day, the uniform of someone who did not matter. 7 years. He had worked at this academy for 7 years. He knew every corner, every room, every crack in every wall. He knew which lights flickered at night and which doors made sounds when they opened. He knew the schedules of every instructor and the habits of every student. But no one knew him. The students at the academy came from all over the galaxy. There were tall beings with blue skin and 4 arms. There were small creatures covered in fur with eyes like black stones. There were beings made of light and beings made of shadow. Humans were rare here. Most species thought humans were weak, soft, a young species that had only recently learned to travel between stars. Tiho let them think this. He finished mopping the main hallway and moved his bucket toward the simulation rooms. These were the places where students learned to fight. Giant machines created fake battles, fake enemies, fake death. The students would scream and shout and feel like heroes. Then they would leave, and Tiho would clean up their sweat and their mess. Today, something different happened. A young student was sitting alone outside the simulation room. She was small, even smaller than Tiho. Her skin was pale green, and she had large, dark eyes that seemed too big for her face. Her uniform looked new, like she had just arrived. She was crying. Tiho stopped his mop. He should keep walking. That was the rule. Cleaning staff did not talk to students. Cleaning staff did not exist. But the girl was crying so quietly, trying so hard to hide it, that something in his chest hurt. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small cloth. It was clean. He always carried clean cloths. "Here," he said softly. The girl looked up, surprised. Her eyes went wide when she saw him, not because she recognized him, because she had not known anyone was there. "Thank you," she whispered. She took the cloth and wiped her eyes. Tiho nodded and started to walk away. "Wait," the girl said. "What is your name?" He stopped. No one had asked him that in a very long time. "Tiho," he said. "I am Yuna," she said. "I just started here." "I know," Tiho said. "You are in room 447, 3rd floor, East Wing." Yuna blinked. "How do you know that?" Tiho almost smiled. "I cleaned that floor." Yuna laughed. It was a small laugh, but it was real. The tears on her face started to dry. "Everyone here is so big," she said. "So strong. My species is not important. We are from a small planet. No one thinks we can be soldiers." Tiho looked at her for a long moment. "The biggest tree in the forest was once a small seed," he said. "Size does not make a warrior, heart does." Yuna stared at him. There was something in his words, something heavy, something that did not match his gray uniform and his mop bucket. "You talk like a teacher," she said. "I am just a janitor," Tiho said. He picked up his mop and walked away. But Yuna watched him go. She watched the way he moved. It was strange. He walked like water, smooth, controlled. Every step was perfect, like he knew exactly where his body was in space. She had seen soldiers walk like that, dangerous soldiers. Why would a janitor walk like a killer? The days passed. Yuna kept seeing Tiho around the academy. He was always cleaning, always quiet, always polite. He never spoke to anyone except her, and even with her he only said a few words. But she noticed things. She noticed that he never made noise. His feet never made sounds on the floor. His mop never hit the walls. He moved like a ghost. She noticed that he was always watching. His eyes moved constantly, checking doors and windows and corners, like he was looking for threats, like he expected an attack. She noticed that the other cleaning staff stayed away from him. They did not eat lunch with him. They did not talk to him. They looked at him with something like fear. One evening, Yuna was studying late in the library. She heard a sound outside and looked through the window. Tiho was in the garden, fixing a light that had broken on a tall pole. He had climbed up without a ladder. His body was pressed against the pole, his feet finding holds that should not exist. As he reached up to fix the light, his collar moved. His uniform shifted. Yuna saw something on his neck. A tattoo, black ink against his skin, an angular symbol made of sharp lines and circles. It looked old, it looked important. The next day, Yuna found Tiho in the memorial corridor. This was the place where the academy honored the dead. Thousands of names carved into the walls, heroes from wars she had only read about. Tiho, she said. He turned, his eyes found hers immediately. Yuna. I saw your tattoo, she said. On your neck, what is it? For a moment, something changed in his face. The softness disappeared. His eyes became hard and cold, like stones at the bottom of a frozen river. Yuna felt a chill run down her back. For just 1 second, she felt like she was standing in front of something dangerous, something that could kill her before she took her next breath. Then it was gone. Tiho smiled. The soft, tired janitor was back. Just an old mistake, he said. He fixed his collar, hiding the tattoo. We all have things we wish we could erase. He picked up his cleaning supplies and walked away. Yuna stood alone in the memorial corridor. Her heart was beating fast. She did not know why she felt afraid. He was just a janitor, just a quiet old man with a mop. But something told her that was a lie. That night, Yuna went to the academy archives. These were the old records, history files from before she was born. She searched for the symbol she had seen. She drew it from memory and asked the computer to find matches. Nothing. She searched for hours. She looked through military records, historical documents, and classified files. The symbol did not exist. It was like someone had erased it from history. But why would someone erase a tattoo from history? Yuna closed her computer and stared at the ceiling. The quiet janitor had a tattoo that did not exist. He moved like a soldier. He spoke like a teacher. And when she asked about his past, his eyes turned into ice. Who was Tiho? What was he hiding? And why was she suddenly afraid to find out? Yuna could not sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the tattoo, sharp black lines, perfect circles, a symbol that should not exist. She had searched everywhere, every database, every archive, every old book in the library, nothing. The symbol was a ghost. But ghosts were once alive. The next morning, Yuna sat in her history class. Professor Minyu stood at the front of the room, his 4 arms moving as he spoke. He was an old being from a species that had seen many wars. His skin was gray like stone, and his eyes were deep and wise. He had been teaching at the academy for 50 years. Today, he was talking about the Great Silence War. 40 years ago, Minyu said, the galaxy almost died. A coalition of powerful species decided that some races should be slaves. They believed in order through control. They believed the weak should serve the strong. The students listened carefully. The Great Silence War was famous. It had changed everything. Earth was one of the targets, Minyu continued. Humans had just learned to travel between stars. They were young, weak. The coalition thought they would be easy to break. Minyu paused. His eyes became distant, like he was remembering something painful. They were wrong. Yuna raised her hand. Professor, what happened? How did humans survive? Minyu looked at her. There was something strange in his expression, something like respect mixed with fear. No one knows the full story, he said. The records are sealed, but there are stories, legends, tales of human soldiers who did impossible things. They say Earth created a special unit, a group of fighters who were not like other soldiers. What were they called? Another student asked. Minyu shook his head. Their name was erased from history, speaking it was forbidden, but some old soldiers remember. They called them the Void Walkers. Void Walkers. Yuna felt something cold touch her spine. What did they do? She asked. Minyu was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was lower. They ended the war, 200 humans against an army of millions. They destroyed fleets with small ships. They killed warlords in places that were supposed to be safe. They moved through space like ghosts. No one could stop them. No one could catch them. That sounds impossible, a large blue student said. Humans are not that strong. Minyu looked at the student with cold eyes. After the war, the coalition surrendered, not because they lost their ships, not because they lost their soldiers. They surrendered because they were afraid. They could not sleep. They could not eat. They knew that at any moment a Void Walker could appear and end their lives. The room was silent. What happened to them? Yuna asked. The Void Walkers. They disappeared, Minyu said. Some say they were killed to bury their secrets. Some say they scattered across the galaxy. But one thing is certain. Their symbol was erased. Their records were destroyed. The galaxy wanted to forget they existed. After class, Yuna walked quickly to catch Minyu before he left. Professor, she said, I need to show you something. Minyu looked at her with tired eyes. What is it, child? Yuna pulled out a piece of paper. On it she had drawn the tattoo from memory. The sharp lines, the perfect circles, the symbol that should not exist. Minyu took the paper. His 4 hands started to shake. Where did you see this? His voice was barely a whisper. On a man's neck, Yuna said. He works here, he is a janitor. Minyu grabbed her arm. His grip was strong, stronger than she expected from an old professor. Come with me, he said, now. He pulled her into his office and closed the door. He checked the windows. He turned off his computer. Then he sat down and stared at the drawing like it was a bomb about to explode. This symbol, he said slowly, is classified at the highest level. I have only seen it once in my life, 50 years ago during the war. What does it mean? Yuna asked. Minyu looked at her. His eyes were full of fear. It is the mark of the Void Walkers, he said. Every member had this tattoo on their neck. It was given to them after they completed their training. Training that would kill most beings. Training that turned humans into something else. Yuna felt her heart beating faster. The janitor, Tiho, he has this tattoo. Minyu stood up so fast his chair fell over. What is his name? Tiho, he has worked here for 7 years. Minyu walked to his bookshelf. His hands were still shaking. He pulled out an old box and opened it. Inside was a single photograph. It was old and damaged, but Yuna could see a group of humans in black uniforms. Their faces were hard. Their eyes were empty. I was young during the war, Minyu said. I was a soldier on the other side. We thought we were strong. We thought we would win. He laughed, but there was no joy in it. Then the Void Walkers came. He pointed at the photograph. This is the only image that survived. It was taken after a battle. One battle. A single human had destroyed an entire base. 3,000 soldiers, gone in one night. Yuna stared at the photograph. The humans looked normal, small, nothing special, but something in their eyes made her want to look away. If this man is what I think he is, Minyu said, then you are in danger. Danger? He is so kind. He gave me a cloth when I was crying. Minyu shook his head. Void walkers were trained to be kind. They were trained to be invisible. They could smile at you while planning your death. That was what made them so terrifying. You never knew they were there until it was too late. But the war ended 40 years ago, Yuna said. Why would he be dangerous now? A weapon does not stop being a weapon because the war is over, Minyu said. If he is hiding here, there is a reason. And if someone discovers his secret. He did not finish the sentence. What should I do? Yuna asked. Minyu looked at her with serious eyes. Nothing. You do nothing. You forget what you saw. You forget this conversation. You walk past him like he is invisible, just like everyone else. But, listen to me, child. Minyu's voice was hard now. The Void Walkers were not soldiers. They were something else, something that should not exist. The galaxy erased them for a reason. If you dig deeper, you will find things that cannot be unfound. You will learn truths that will change you forever. He handed her back the drawing. Burn this. Forget the janitor. Let him mop his floors in peace. Yuna took the paper. Her hands were cold. She left the professor's office. Her mind was spinning. The quiet man with the mop, the kind man who gave her a cloth, he was a Void Walker, a ghost from a war that almost ended the galaxy. As she walked down the hall, she heard voices. She stopped behind a corner and listened. Did you hear what Minyu was teaching today? It was Instructor G1. His voice was full of disgust. Void Walkers, what nonsense, human propaganda. You do not believe they existed? Another instructor asked. Of course not, G1 said. Humans are weak. They are good for serving drinks and cleaning floors, nothing more. The war ended because the coalition made mistakes, not because of some magical human soldiers. Yuna stayed hidden. She watched G1 walk away. He was tall and proud, with scales that shone like gold. He was the most famous instructor at the academy. He had never lost a battle in simulation. He also hated humans. Everyone knew it. He believed they were a lower species. He treated them like animals. Yuna thought about Tiho, the quiet janitor who cleaned G1's classroom every day, the man who might be a living weapon. Did G1 know? Did he understand that every time he looked down on that small human, he was looking down at something that could destroy him? Yuna walked back to her room. She did not burn the drawing. She could not. Because she needed to know the truth. Who was Tiho before he was a janitor? What had he done during the war? And why had he chosen to disappear? The answers were out there, hidden in the past, buried in secrets. And Yuna was going to find them. Even if it killed her. 2 weeks passed. Yuna watched Tiho from a distance. She did not speak to him. She was too afraid, but she watched. She watched him clean the floors. She watched him fix broken lights. She watched him sit alone during lunch, eating simple food from a small box. He never talked to anyone. He never smiled at anyone, except her. Every time their eyes met, he would nod, a small nod, like a secret between friends. But Yuna knew now. She knew what those hands had done. She knew what that body was capable of, and she could not look at him the same way. Meanwhile, rumors started to spread. Someone had heard Professor Minyu talking about the Void Walkers. Someone had seen him shake when he looked at a drawing. The story grew and changed as it passed from mouth to mouth. By the end of the week, everyone was talking about it. Instructor G1 heard the rumors too, and he was angry. This is ridiculous, he said to his fellow instructors. Void Walkers are a myth, human propaganda to make their weak species seem important. I am tired of hearing about it. The records were sealed, one instructor said carefully. Perhaps there is some truth. There is no truth. G1's scales turned red with anger. Humans are nothing. I have trained soldiers from 20 species. I have never seen a human who could match even our weakest fighters. That afternoon, G1 saw Tiho in the hallway. The janitor was mopping near the training rooms. His head was down. His movements were slow and steady. He did not look up when G1 walked past. G1 stopped. You, he said, human. Tiho kept mopping. Yes, instructor. I heard an interesting story today about humans who were great warriors. Do you believe such stories? Tiho did not look up. I do not know much about stories, instructor. I just clean floors. G1 moved closer. His shadow fell over Tiho like a dark cloud. I think these stories are lies, G1 said. I think humans spread them to feel better about being weak. What do you think? Tiho finally looked up. His eyes were calm, empty, like still water. I think floors get dirty no matter who walks on them, he said, and someone has to clean them. G1's face twisted with anger. This human was not afraid. This human did not show respect. This human looked at him like they were equals. Come with me, G1 said. I want to show you something. Tiho did not move. I have work to do, instructor. I said come with me. G1 grabbed Tiho's arm. Yuna was watching from down the hall. She saw Tiho's body change. For just one moment his muscles tensed. His eyes went sharp. His free hand moved slightly, like it was reaching for something that was not there. Then he relaxed. He let G1 pull him. They walked to the main training hall. Word spread quickly. Students started to follow. By the time they arrived, there were 50 people watching. The training hall was huge. High ceilings, white walls. Training drones lined up against one wall like sleeping soldiers. This was where the best cadets became warriors. G1 threw Tiho into the center of the room. I am tired of human lies, G1 announced. His voice echoed off the walls. I am tired of hearing about magical human soldiers. Today I will show everyone the truth. Humans are weak. Humans are servants. Humans are nothing. Tiho stood slowly. He brushed dirt off his gray uniform. I am just a janitor, he said. I do not know how to fight. Then this will be quick. G1 smiled coldly. He walked to the wall and activated a training drone. The drone floated up. It was the size of a large dog, metal body, red eyes, 4 arms ending in weapons. These drones were used to train advanced cadets. They were fast. They were deadly. Only the best could survive against them. G1 stop, Professor Minu pushed through the crowd. This is wrong. He is a civilian. He is a human, G1 said. He should be honored to test himself against real equipment. He looked at Tiho with hatred in his eyes. Survive this, human, and maybe I will believe your kind is more than insects. He pressed a button. The drone's eyes turned bright red, attack mode. The students gasped. Someone screamed. Yuna tried to run forward, but other students held her back. The drone moved. It was fast, faster than anything Yuna had ever seen. It flew toward Tiho like a missile, its weapons ready to kill. Tiho sighed. He set down his mop. What happened next took 11 seconds. Yuna counted them later, watching the recording again and again, trying to understand what she had seen. Second 1, the drone reached Tiho, its first weapon fired. Second 2, Tiho was not there. He had moved, not run, moved, like water flowing around a stone. The weapon hit empty air. Second 3, the drone adjusted. It fired again and again and again. Second 4, Tiho moved through the weapon's fire like it was rain. He did not run. He did not hide. He simply was not where the weapons were pointing. Second 5, he touched the drone, just one touch. His fingers found a spot on its body. Second 6, the drone froze, its lights flickered. Second 7, Tiho's hands moved. They were too fast to see. He was taking the drone apart, not breaking it, taking it apart, like a child opening a toy. Second 8 pieces fell, metal and wire and glass. Second 9, Tiho held the drone's energy core in his hand, a small ball of blue light, powerful enough to destroy half the room. Second 10, he squeezed, the energy shifted, the core died safely in his palm. Second 11, the drone fell. Tiho caught it before it could hit the ground and hurt someone. Silence. Complete silence. Tiho placed the broken drone at G1's feet. His breathing was normal. His hands were steady. He was not sweating. "Do not ever endanger children to prove a point," he said quietly. G1 could not speak. His scales had turned white. His hands were shaking. His eyes were wide with terror. He had seen something impossible, a human who moved faster than machines, a human who killed a military drone with his bare hands. Tiho picked up his mop. He turned to walk away. "Wait," Yuna whispered, but the word was loud in the silence. Tiho stopped. He looked at her. His collar had moved during the fight. She could see the tattoo now, not just the symbol on his neck. There were more, many more, symbols running down his spine, each one different, each one old. Professor Minyu had told her the Void Walkers earned symbols for their missions. One symbol for each impossible thing they did. One mark for each war they won alone. Tiho had dozens. How many wars had this man fought? How many enemies had those hands killed? How many times had he done the impossible? Tiho fixed his collar. The symbols disappeared. The quiet janitor was back. "Hallway B needs cleaning," he said to no one. "Excuse me." He walked through the crowd. Students moved out of his way like water avoiding fire. No one touched him. No one spoke to him. They just stared with wide eyes and open mouths. G1 fell to his knees. He was still staring at the broken drone. His pride was destroyed. His beliefs were shattered. He had tried to humiliate a human and instead learned the truth. Humans were not weak. Humans were terrifying. And one of them had been cleaning his classroom for 7 years. Yuna ran after Tiho. She found him in the maintenance room putting away his supplies. His movements were slow again, tired. "Tiho," she said. He did not turn around. "You should go back to class, Yuna." "What are you?" He was quiet for a long moment. Then he turned. His eyes were sad, old, full of memories she could not imagine. "I am a janitor," he said. "I clean floors, I fix lights, I make things neat." "But before that does not exist." His voice was firm. "The man I was died a long time ago. I buried him. I walked away. I came here to be no one." Tears filled Yuna's eyes. "Why?" Tiho looked at her. For just a moment she saw something human in his eyes. Not a weapon, not a soldier, just a tired man who wanted peace. "Because I was tired of killing," he said. "I was tired of being a ghost. I wanted to be real, to be normal, to be invisible in a good way." He touched his neck, where the tattoo hid beneath his collar. "This mark is not a badge of honor," he said. "It is a scar, a reminder of what I lost to become what I was. Every symbol on my body is a person I used to be, someone who died so the weapon could live." He turned back to his supplies. "Go back to class, Yuna. Forget what you saw today. Let me be invisible again." Yuna wanted to argue. She wanted to ask more questions, but she saw his shoulders, the way they bent under a weight she could not see. She left him alone. But she knew the truth now. The quiet janitor was not just a man. He was a legend, a ghost, a weapon that had chosen to become human again. And the galaxy was about to remember why it had feared him. News traveled fast. Within hours, the video of Tiho destroying the drone was everywhere. Students sent it to friends. Friends sent it to family. By the next morning, the entire galaxy was watching a quiet janitor move like lightning. The Galactic Council demanded answers. They wanted to know who this human was. They wanted to know why he was at the academy. They wanted to know if there were more like him. 3 days later, a ship arrived. It was a human warship. Not the biggest ship Yuna had ever seen, but something about it made her nervous. It was painted black, with no symbols or marks. It looked like a shadow against the stars. A small shuttle left the ship and landed at the academy. When the doors opened, a woman stepped out. She was old. Her hair was white as snow. Her face was lined with years and scars. She wore a uniform covered in medals, each one telling a story of war and victory. Her eyes were sharp and cold like weapons themselves. Admiral Hana, the most famous human military leader alive. Everyone knew her name. She had led the human fleet for 30 years. She had won battles that should have been impossible. She was a legend. And she walked into the academy like she owned it. "I want to speak with your janitor," she said to the academy director. "The human, Tiho." The director was confused. "Admiral, surely there are more important matters." "There is nothing more important," Hana said. "Show me where he is." Tiho was in the maintenance room. He was fixing a broken light. His hands moved slowly, carefully, like he had all the time in the world. He did not look up when the door opened. "Leave us," Hana said to the guards. They obeyed. She stood in the doorway for a long moment, looking at him, the small man in the gray uniform, the mop in the corner, the simple tools on the table. Then she did something that shocked everyone who saw it later on the security recordings. She saluted. A full military salute, the kind given to superior officers, the kind she had not given to anyone in 20 years. "Sergeant Tiho," she said, "it has been a long time." Tiho did not return the salute. He kept working on the light. "I am not a sergeant anymore," he said, "just a janitor." "You were never just anything." Hana lowered her hand. "May I sit?" Tiho nodded at a small chair in the corner. It was old and worn. Hana sat in it like it was a throne. "I watched the video," she said. 11 seconds. You destroyed a military drone in 11 seconds. "It was a training drone," Tiho said, "not a real weapon." "You moved faster than I have ever seen anyone move. You took it apart with your bare hands, and then you went back to mopping." Tiho finally looked at her. His eyes were tired. "What do you want, Hana?" She leaned forward. "The galaxy is changing, old friend. A new coalition is rising. They call themselves the Pure Order. They believe some species should be eliminated, destroyed, erased from history." "I have heard the news," Tiho said. "It is not my problem." "They believe humans should be the first to go." Tiho was quiet. He put down his tools. 20 years ago we ended a war," Hana continued. "We made the galaxy afraid of us. That fear kept us safe. But fear fades. New generations grow up. They forget what we did. They forget what we can do." "That was the plan," Tiho said. "The Void Walkers were supposed to be forgotten. We were supposed to disappear." "The plan failed." Hana's voice was hard. "The Pure Order knows about us now. They are searching for any Void Walkers who survived. They want to kill them before another war starts." Tiho stood up. He walked to the small window and looked out at the academy grounds. Students were training in the yard. Young beings learning to fight, learning to die. "Why are you here?" he asked. "Because we found something." Hana stood and joined him at the window. Deep in dead space, an ancient weapon, technology from a species that died 1,000,000 years ago. The Pure Order wants it. If they get it, they will have the power to destroy Earth. Tiho's hands tightened on the windowsill. "Send your soldiers." "I cannot. The location is inside enemy territory. Any fleet we send will be destroyed. We need a small team, a team that can move unseen, a team that can do the impossible." "You need Void Walkers." "Yes." Tiho turned to face her. His eyes were cold now, empty. The janitor was gone. Something else looked through those eyes. "How many of us are left?" 7, Hana said. "Including you, but you were the best, Tiho. You were always the best. The others will only go if you lead them." "No." "Tiho." I said no. His voice was like ice. "I came here to escape, to forget, to be a normal man living a normal life. I will not go back." Hana was quiet for a moment. Then she walked to the door. "The cadets here," she said. "The young ones, the ones you watch every day, The girl who follows you around. Yuna, I think her name is." Tiho did not move. "If war comes, they will be the first to fight," Hana continued. "The first to die. They are not soldiers yet. They are children playing at war, but the pure order does not care. They will kill them all." "The galaxy is full of soldiers," Tiho said. "Let them fight." Hana opened the door. "The galaxy does not protect the weak, Tiho. It never has. You know this better than anyone." She paused at the door. "I leave tomorrow. If you change your mind, come to my ship. If not," she looked at him one last time, "I hope you can live with your choice." She left. Tiho stood alone. The maintenance room was quiet. His light was still broken. His tools were still on the table. He walked to the small mirror on the wall. It was cracked and dusty, but he could see himself, the gray hair, the lined face, the tired eyes. He unbuttoned his collar. The tattoo was there. The first one. The symbol he received 40 years ago when he stopped being human and became a weapon. Below it, more symbols, dozens of them, each one a mission, each one a war, each one a piece of himself that he lost. He thought about the people he had killed, the ships he had destroyed, the enemies who died screaming his name, even though they did not know his name. He thought about the nights he could not sleep, the faces that visited him in dreams. He had come here to escape all that, to be invisible, to clean floors and fix lights and pretend he was normal. But he was not normal. He never was, he never would be. He thought about Yuna, the small girl with the big eyes, the first person who had thanked him in 7 years. She was young, innocent, full of hope. If war came, she would die. They would all die. Tiho looked at himself in the mirror. The janitor stared back. But behind the janitor, deep in those tired eyes, something else was waking up. The soldier, the ghost, the weapon. The man he had tried so hard to bury. He buttoned his collar, he picked up his mop, he went back to work. But as he cleaned the floors, his mind was somewhere else. Planning, calculating, remembering. He had one day to decide. One day to choose between peace and war. One day to decide if he was a janitor or a soldier. The choice should have been easy. He should have stayed. He should have let others fight. He should have kept his head down and lived his quiet life. But he kept thinking about Yuna, about her smile, about the way she thanked him for a simple cloth. She deserved to live. They all did. And there was only one way to make sure that happened. By the time the sun set, Tiho had made his decision. He was still a janitor. He would always be a janitor. But sometimes, janitors had to clean up very big messes. And the pure order was about to become the biggest mess in the galaxy. 3 days later, everything changed. Tiho had not gone to Admiral Hana's ship. He had stayed at the academy. He had continued cleaning floors and fixing lights. He had continued being invisible. But he had also started watching more carefully, checking shadows, counting exits, noticing things that did not belong. He saw the new faces in the crowd, the delivery workers who looked too alert, the maintenance staff who did not know how to use their tools, the visitors who watched the cadets instead of the buildings. Something was wrong. On the 3rd day, it happened. Yuna was in the main hall with 200 other cadets. They were listening to a lecture about space navigation. The speaker was boring. Half the students were falling asleep. Then the lights went out. Emergency alarms screamed. Red lights flashed. The giant doors slammed shut with a sound like thunder. "Everyone stay calm," the speaker shouted, but panic was already spreading. Armed figures appeared from the shadows. They wore black armor and carried weapons that glowed with deadly light. They moved fast, surrounding the students before anyone could react. "Nobody move," a voice commanded. The leader stepped forward. He was tall and thin, covered in dark scales. His eyes burned with hatred. "We are the pure order," he announced. "You are now hostages. Earth will pay for its crimes or you will all die." Students screamed. Some tried to run. The soldiers fired warning shots that left smoking holes in the walls. Yuna pressed herself against the floor. Her heart was pounding. Her hands were shaking. She thought about everything she had learned at the academy, all the training, all the simulations. None of it mattered now. She was going to die. The leader walked through the crowd like a farmer walking through his field. He looked at the students with disgust. "Send a message to Admiral Hana," he told one of his soldiers. "Tell her to come alone. If she does not arrive in 3 hours, we begin executing hostages." The soldier nodded and started working on a communication device. But they had made a mistake, a small mistake, a mistake that would cost them everything. They had sealed all the exits. They had counted all the students. They had searched all the rooms. But they had not counted the janitors. Tiho was in the basement when the attack started. He heard the alarms. He felt the building shake. He knew immediately what was happening. For a moment he stood still. His mop was in his hand. His gray uniform was covered in dust. He was just a janitor. This was not his fight. Then he thought about Yuna, trapped upstairs, surrounded by killers. He dropped the mop. He moved through the basement like smoke. Every door, every corridor, every shadow was familiar to him. He had cleaned these spaces for 7 years. He knew them better than the people who built them. He found a maintenance tunnel that led up to the first floor. It was small, tight. Most beings could not fit through it. Tiho was not most beings. He crawled through the darkness. His body remembered things his mind tried to forget: how to move without sound, how to breathe without being heard, how to become a ghost. He emerged in a storage room near the main hall. 2 soldiers stood guard outside. They were professional, alert, watching every direction. They never saw him coming. Tiho moved. His hand found the first soldier's neck. One touch. The soldier dropped. The second soldier turned, weapon rising, mouth opening to shout. He was too slow. Tiho caught him before he fell, lowered him gently to the ground. No noise, no alarm. He took the soldier's weapon, checked it, dropped it, too loud, too obvious. He would do this the old way. He moved through the halls like water through stone. Every corner he turned, another soldier fell. Some saw him for just a moment before the darkness took them. Others never saw anything at all. Inside the main hall, the hostages waited in terror. The leader was getting impatient. Where is the communication? Why has Hana not responded? "The signal is being blocked, sir," a soldier said. "Something is interfering." The lights flickered. Everyone looked up. The emergency lights blinked once, twice, then went dark. "What is happening?" the leader demanded. "Silence." Then a scream from somewhere in the building, then another, then gunfire, then silence again. "Report," the leader shouted into his communicator. "All units report." "Nothing." "Team 1, Team 2, someone answer me." "Nothing." The soldiers in the hall started to look nervous. They pointed their weapons at shadows, at walls, at nothing. A door opened at the back of the hall. Every weapon turned toward it. Nothing came through. A door opened on the left side. Again, nothing. A door opened on the right side. Still nothing. "What is this?" a soldier whispered. His voice was shaking. "It is just tricks," the leader said, but even he looked afraid now. Then the lights came back on. And standing in the middle of the hall, surrounded by hostages, was Tiho. His gray uniform was dirty. His face was covered in dust, but his eyes were alive with something cold and terrible. He was not a janitor anymore. He was what he had always been. A weapon. "Hello," he said quietly. The leader stared at him. "Who are you?" "I am the janitor," Tiho said. "You are making a mess." The soldiers opened fire. Yuna watched from the floor. She saw Tiho move. It was like the training drone, but worse, faster, more deadly. He flowed through the weapon's fire like it was not there. His hands found soldiers and they fell, one after another, like leaves in a storm. The students screamed. Some ran, others watched in frozen terror. In 15 seconds, it was over. The soldiers lay on the ground. Some were unconscious. Some would never wake up. Tiho stood among them, breathing hard. His uniform was torn. Blood ran down his arm from an old wound that had reopened. The leader was the last one standing. He held a weapon to Yuna's head. "Stop," he screamed. "Stop or I kill her." Tiho stopped. "You think you can save them?" the leader laughed. It was a desperate, broken sound. "You are one human, we are an army. Even if you kill me, more will come. Earth will burn, your kind will be extinct." Tiho looked at Yuna. Her eyes were wide with fear. Tears ran down her green face. "It is okay," he said softly. To her, only to her, "Close your eyes." She closed them. Tiho moved. Nobody saw what happened. One moment the leader was holding Yuna. The next moment he was on the ground, his weapon in Tiho's hand, his arm bent in a way arms should not bend. Tiho dropped the weapon. He knelt beside Yuna. "You can open your eyes now," he said. She opened them. She saw his face, tired, old, kind. "Why?" she whispered. "You said you did not want to fight anymore." Tiho smiled. It was a real smile, maybe the first real smile in years. "I did not fight for the galaxy," he said. "I just did not want you to miss your graduation." Then he collapsed. The next few hours were chaos. Medical teams, military ships, investigators, reporters, everyone wanted to know what happened. Everyone wanted to see the janitor who had stopped an army. But Tiho was in the hospital. The fight had reopened wounds that had never fully healed. He had pushed his body too far. For 3 days he floated between sleep and waking. Yuna visited every day. She sat beside his bed and talked to him, even when he could not answer. She told him about the academy, about how Instructor G1 had resigned, about how Professor Minyu was telling everyone the truth about the Void Walkers, about how humans were no longer seen as weak. On the 4th day, Tiho woke up. Admiral Hana was there. She stood by the window looking out at the stars. "The Council wants to honor you," she said. "They want to give you command of a new Void Walker unit. They want you to lead the fight against the Pure Order." Tiho sat up slowly. His body ached. "No," he said. Hana nodded. She had expected this. "The ancient weapon," Tiho continued. "Did you find it?" "Yes. Another team retrieved it while the Pure Order was distracted by your little performance here." Tiho almost laughed. "So it worked out." "It worked out." Hana turned to face him. "The Pure Order is falling apart. Their leaders are scared. They know what you are now. They know what humanity can do." "Good, then my work is done." Hana walked to the door. She paused. "You know," she said, "the galaxy will always need soldiers, but sometimes it needs something else. It needs people who remind us why we fight, why peace matters." Tiho did not answer. "Take care of yourself, old friend," Hana said, and she was gone. 2 weeks later, Tiho returned to the academy. He walked through the front gates in his gray uniform. His mop was waiting for him in the maintenance room. His tools were arranged on the table, exactly where he had left them. Students stared at him as he passed. They knew who he was now. They knew what he had done. Some looked at him with fear, others with respect. A few even saluted. Tiho nodded at them all, but he did not stop. He went to the main hallway. The floor was dirty. Someone had spilled something near the windows. The lights needed fixing. He got to work. Yuna found him there an hour later. She was wearing new stripes on her uniform. Cadet officer. She had been promoted. "You came back," she said. Tiho looked up. He smiled at her. "Someone has to clean the floors. You could be anything now. A general, a leader, a hero." Tiho thought about this. He looked at his mop, at his bucket, at his simple gray uniform. "I am a hero," he said. "I save students from dirty hallways. I protect the academy from broken lights. I fight the endless battle against dust." Yuna laughed. It was a good sound, a healing sound. She walked away toward her class. She had exams to prepare for, a future to build, a life to live. Tiho watched her go. The galaxy was safe. For now, the pure order was broken. The ancient weapon was in human hands. Peace had won. But peace was fragile. It always was. Someday new enemies would rise, new wars would start, new threats would emerge. And when that day came, the quiet janitor would be there, waiting, cleaning, watching. Because that was what he did. He was Tiho, once a soldier, once a weapon, once a ghost. Now just a man with a mop. And sometimes, that was exactly what the galaxy needed.